welcome back to another episode of Philosophy in Music and Spirituality, or as I like to call it, P.I.M.S. And last week we talked about your identity, your gifts, talents, and your skills, and how you can use your gifts, talents, and skills to actually identify your core identity, right? Your identity is the thing that actually allows you to live a more authentic life that is more in tune and in alignment with what you're meant to do here on earth, right? So I thought it'd be a good sort of way to progress and to talk about this and talk about your gifts and talents and skills more in depth, because I know that I just touched on it a little bit on our last video. So I'm going to talk more about the gifts today, because the gifts is what I believe. If you remember that pyramid that I spoke about, the gifts is on the base of that pyramid. The gift is actually the thing that you're born with, that you don't have to work for. You simply have it just by being born on this earth. Now, I firmly believe that you as a human being are born with certain gifts that you are meant to give to this world, because that's the definition of a gift. Is something that you give to other people for free, right? So every individual is born with a gift that we're meant to fulfill on this planet. You know, just like if you think of like the world in general, you think about the planet, the trees, and you think about even ants, for example, that each ant has a purpose in the colony. They're soldier ants, they're the nursery ants, they're the ants that actually look after the queen and actually clean the queen up, and then the builder ants as well, right? So every ant has a purpose within that colony. Now, on a wider scale of the world, we look at the plants, the trees, and the animals that are around us, and how everything fits in together. Us as human beings are no different. That there are people who are good at building, there are people who are good at like science and calculations, there are people that are good at like nursing and taking care of people, there are people that are good at mathematics and accounting, people that are good at arguing and debating. These will be our lawyers and things of that nature, right? People that are good at like the arts and the entertainment, actors and singers and performers that bring us a lot of joy and fulfillment in our lives on this earth, right? So everyone has got a particular purpose that they're meant to fulfill on this earth, right? That forms part of your identity, which is what you're meant to give to this world, right? So let's dive right in and let's talk about the gifts more in depth. So if you remember last week, I gave you a bit of an example of what my gifts are. And if you haven't watched that video from last week, then I'd advise you to watch that video, because it'll give you a little bit of a clue what we're going to be talking about today. So my gifts are helping, but let's be more specific about helping. We're all meant to help each other, right? If I'm more specific about how I help and my gifts and my strengths, it's actually within teaching and healing. Now, I didn't quite know this until I was much older, right? So until I was probably in my mid to late 20s, that's when I probably really was certain that this was my gift. And how I found this out was, well, what am I drawn to, right? What are the things that I was naturally drawn to doing throughout my career, or if I chose a job? I remember thinking to myself, man, if I go into a job, all I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm in a position where I can work with people. The second thing I said was, if I'm working with people, then I really want to help people become better, right? And I remember the thing that I was kind of pushed towards, I said pushed into, I was kind of drawn to the mental health field. So I've worked in mental health for like 7 years. And what I found is that when I worked in mental health, working in psychology, working in the rehab sort of arena, that I was so adept at just doing that job. Not only was I so adept at it, I actually really enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed the process of actually getting to know someone, finding out what their problem was, and then helping them resolve that problem and resolve that issue with them. It's crucial that throughout life that you put yourself in a position where you can experience and express your gifts freely. Now, I'm going to rewind and say that although I found out about my gifts more specifically in my 20s, sort of early to mid 20s, that I kind of had a clue of it even when I was younger. And I would often say that, if you have a child, for example, just ask them, what would you like to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? What are you passionate about? One of my nieces would say, I want to be a lawyer. One of my other nieces goes to more, I want to be a therapist and I want to be a counselor. And through having those conversations with my nieces and nephews, it's clear that they're beginning to hone in an idea of their identity and also an idea of their gifts, right? My niece who wants to be a lawyer is particularly good at arguing. She loves to argue. And I said to her, listen, that probably would be a good career for you. So that's something you should actually delve into. And it's also important that if you're raising kids who have a certain sort of skill or a certain gift that they have, that you must actually nurture that gift, allow them to express that gift in that environment, and allow them to actually nurture that gift so they can strengthen that gift more. And when they go out in the world, it's a lot easier for them to actually step into their role and their identity and their purpose in life, which we are all kind of searching for. But unfortunately, a lot of us go through either through childhood or through schooling or just through adulthood and working experience, we go through a process sometimes that actually diverts us from our gift, from actually identifying our gift and from actually fulfilling our purpose that we're meant to do here on earth, right? As I said to you, my gifts are helping, healing, and teaching, right? So in everything that I know I do now, there must be an element of helping, healing, and teaching in whatever I do. And I know that if I'm doing that, that I'm going to be passionate about that I'm going to enjoy that, right? So it's important that if you're raising kids, that you allow them to express it, allow them to nurture it, allow them to strengthen that gift. Here's a key thing that I want you to think about, especially when you're raising children, because I think it's so important to speak about children in this particular instance. Because if you're a caregiver, a guardian, a parent, whatever, it's so important that you don't impose your own ideas and beliefs about what you want the child to do into them. Because I find this is the most common way that children lose their gift. You don't really lose it, but they lose sight of their gift, right? So maybe your parents are doctors or lawyers, right? And then really your child has a passion for music and the arts, right? But then the parents go to them, hey, look, we're doctors and lawyers in this family. You're going to go corporate and that's what you're going to do. So the arts and the entertainment and the playing instruments that they're so good at that naturally comes to them becomes suppressed. Yeah? They can't express that. Instead, it becomes suppressed and they never nurture it. And as a result of that, they always live a life knowing that there's something that they really wanted to do that they're now not doing in life. And they might be successful as a doctor or a lawyer and then realize in the future that they're actually not very happy doing that thing. So as a parent, as a guardian, as even as a coach, as a teacher, right, you have a responsibility to identify in each of your children, your students, what their gifts are, and then try and nurture that. So that's the first thing I'll say. But if you're watching this video, you're probably an adult. You've already passed that stage, right? What happens to you if you have never really expressed your gifts, never really had the space to express your gift, never really nurtured that gift? How do you even find out what your gift is? Well, the first thing I would say is, if you have people that know you, people that actually understand you, that know you in depth, try and ask them, what do you think I'm good at naturally? What do you think are some of my skills? And some people will say, hey, when I notice that I like to come to you for advice, or, if I'm looking for a property to buy, I know that you're the person to speak to, or, if I need some accounting done, you're the right person to speak to. So maybe you start to think to yourself, well, maybe I have a gift in this area, so let me explore that a little bit more. So when you find out like a common consensus that you also agree with, right? So you ask a few friends, family around you, and you ask them what your gifts naturally are, right? And when you come to a consensus, then you can actually kind of break it down and go, do I agree with that? Do I actually agree with what they're saying? Is that something that I actually love to do? Because there's things that you're good at, but you don't love to do. So for example, I could say to you, I'm very good at singing and producing music, but would I actually want to be a professional musician? The answer to that is no. I could become even better at it, but regardless of how good I get at that, I wouldn't really enjoy that. That's not really my purpose in life, right? So it must be something that people tell you you're good at, but also something that you yourself resonates in your spirit that goes, you know what? I actually would love to do this, and if I could do this for the rest of my life, I would do this for the rest of my life. Now, if you don't have people to ask, if you feel shy in starting this conversation, you can also kind of sit back with yourself and spend some time with yourself and ask yourself the question, what are the things that I am naturally gravitated to doing on a regular basis, that I think about doing on a daily basis even, and that I would do even if I didn't get paid, that I naturally find myself doing? I find myself doing crossword puzzles. I find myself writing just novels and jotting down things in my journal. I find myself looking at maths problems. I find myself looking at, hacking tutorials on YouTube maybe. I find myself looking at, design things on platforms and things of that nature. I find myself looking into these things that I'm just so fascinated by, right? That could be a trigger into showing you that you are actually being drawn to something that is actually innate in you, that's actually a gift in you, and that's something that you maybe neglected and haven't nurtured throughout your life. So if you don't know what your gift is, I encourage you to do that practice and just kind of go into it and just kind of say, what's that thing that just naturally comes to me? I just all of a sudden I just have the answers for it. That is probably in line with your gift, right? So investigate that, try and figure out what that thing is. And when you have investigated, remember, now that you've identified it, you found that thing, that gift, it's now time for you to actually put it into a mode where you can actually express it. How can you express it? Now, I remember saying to my nephew, actually, he's much older and he's kind of working already. And I said to him, listen, can you picture, what is the thing that you really want to do in life? And he goes to me, I love to work with cars and I like to do this and that. I said to him, okay, if you're a mechanic, what is the best case scenario for you? It's like, I love rally driving. I love NASCAR. I love rally driving. I love fixing cars. I love racing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now, so let's picture, you in your best occupation, right? In your best job. Where are you? Let's just sit there and go, where am I? Oh, well, I'm a mechanic. I'm fixing cars, and I'm fixing cars in a rally NASCAR type of events where there's a lot of racing because I love that stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, can you imagine doing that for 20 to 30 years or the rest of your life? Absolutely. I would love that. That would be a dream come true for me. Good. Now, and that is simply how we just kind of mapped out like, yo, this is in line with your gift. Now, remember, I'll talk about the mechanics not being a gift, but his actual desire to fix things and to be more hands-on with mechanical things is actually his gift. Because we need people in this world that can fix stuff, right? And so my nephew is one of those people who just, instinctively grasps concepts like mechanics, is very good with his hands, is very, he's able to understand things. He's had his own car when he was in his late teens, which he used to fix up and do all kinds of things with. And I know his parents weren't very happy about that, but that's another story, right? But the fact that he was drawn to that naturally and that he still loved to do it, that it was his absolute joy, fixing that car and having it break down on him, it wasn't a headache to him. It was, oh, my car's broken down. Yes, I get to tinker with it, I get to fix it, and I get to build an even better car, right? That's part of his gift. So I want you to sit down with yourself and go, let me map out the thing that I'm good at. Now, here's the thing, I don't want you to get too confused. When it comes to your gifts, I believe that we only have like 1 or 2 gifts. We don't have many things, right? Because this is a world full of billions of people. And in our communities, although they're not going to be billions of people in your community, there's going to be a few hundred at least in your community. And each person must have 1 or 2 things that they do for that community, right? So don't get too confused by trying to pick up 5 things, right? Just pick up 1 or 2 things and go, I think this is what I'm meant to do. Now sit there and then now think about what is the best case scenario. Best case scenario, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to dream about, me speaking to hundreds of people. This is me giving you a clue and some insight into myself. My best case scenario is I'm teaching on stage hundreds and thousands of people, and people are able to get some knowledge that they never had before, and they're able to come away being better than they were before, and they can take that away with them for the rest of their lives. That for me is ultimate fulfillment. That's fulfillment for myself. That's giving other people what they need in their lives. And that for me is me fulfilling my gift. I will do that for the rest of my life. And so that's how I'm mapping out my life, in the sense that everything that I do has to be in service to this gift, right? So I hope this video helped. It's something that I can honestly go on into for hours and hours, but I won't do that. But if you liked this video and you think that someone would benefit from actually watching this video and understanding their gifts a little bit more, then I encourage you to share it with them. And maybe you can have a discussion. This can be the trigger point into you discussing with them what your gifts are and how that aligns with what you're trying to do in life and your purpose, maybe finding that purpose and maybe identifying that. And can you actually help each other? Can you actually nurture your gift? Can you actually strengthen that gift and actually begin the journey on actually fulfilling your own purpose in this world, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Share with someone if you think that they'll love it. Now, as we do with all things in P.I.M.S, philosophy, music, and spirituality, everything that we talk about here has to tie into music, right? It has to tie into the aspect of music, because that is the business and that is the part of what I do as the founder and CEO of 7th Century Music, is that our job is to help artists and musicians alike to actually help them learn how to market and monetize their music. So if you're an artist, a musician, a singer, a songwriter, a producer, then I want you to kind of go on to 7thcentury.co.uk and actually find out, right, if you're making music, if you're producing music, if you're a singer or songwriting, and if you want to dive into your gift a little bit more, if you want to find out if that actually is your gift, then 7th Century is here to actually help you start that journey, because you can actually upload your music and actually start to see how people respond to your music, see how they're downloading it, if they're downloading it, who's downloading it. And when you start to do that, right, we'll give you the data that will allow you to actually see the names and emails and the countries of the people who are actually downloading your music, so that you can then start to speak to those people. And then from this point, you can actually start to map out for yourself, like, is this something that I really want to do? Do I want to continue making the music as a hobby, or do I want to take it more seriously maybe and actually grow it and start to make some money with it? Now, don't get me wrong. You can actually make money with your music, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a talent, whether it's a gift, whether it's even just a skill that you have, and there's something that you just enjoy in your part-time, right? There's ways that you can work with the platform to actually discover more about how you can use that platform to thrive as a musician yourself. So if that's you, then I want you to actually go in and check out our website, 7thcentury.co.uk. I also invite you to check out a free 15 video sort of course section that we have for all artists, and it's completely free. It's in our Learning Hub. And in this Learning Hub, you can also look at defining what you are, right, as an artist and as a musician, whether you have the right mindset to actually be an artist, whether you even want to be an artist essentially. And if you do, then we'll take you on to the next 5 lessons, which are on the strategies of actually how you begin to market and monetize your music and do all those cool things without having having to worry about music streaming or trying to put yourself out there in a place where, let's face it, right, music streaming isn't very kind to artists. So we want artists to develop a strategy that's actually realistic, that's actually manageable, and then we'll walk you through that process. So if that's you, you're an artist, a musician, a singer, songwriter, producer, and you want to learn more about how we at 7th Century help you as an artist, how we have our own platform where you can actually stream your music, distribute your music, market your music, and monetize your music, then also go to 7thcentury.co.uk, click on the artist link, and then that will take you through to the Learning Hub as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. If you like this video, if you think that someone else will benefit from it, then please do like, share, and subscribe so we can keep putting these videos out, and that actually helps me know that you're getting some benefit from these videos as well, right? So thanks again. I'll see you in a week's time. Take care. Love you as always. Bye-bye.